Hey everyone, just wanted to start this episode out by letting you know that there were some audio issues throughout this recording, unfortunately. We are still working out the kinks with doing collaborations, so we do apologize for any imperfections in the audio. Regardless of that, this was such a fun collaboration that we did, and we really hope that you enjoyed this episode. Thanks again for tuning in. And welcome back to 90s Noise. This is Ashley, born 1988.
I'm April, born 1991. All right, so 90s Noise today. We've got a very special episode. So it is our very first collaboration and our very first guest on 90s Noise. So we'd like to welcome Alex from Nostalgia Junkies.
Hey y'all. Thanks for having me on.
Well, we're really glad to have you.
Yeah.
It's great. Now, another little quick thing. We did do a shout out to you a little while back and everything, because when we did have a little bit of a break at that Super Bowl week, I think it was, you had sent a really nice message, and it really made both Ashley and I smile. So thank you for that. And
Thank you.
first, thank you for being our first guest.
Yes.
No problem.
We're going to get right on started with this. So early 90s sitcom theme songs is what we are discussing today. You got your list, Alex?
I do. And it was funny. I don't know if y'all were having some trouble. I had a hard time finding some songs at first. And then it was the floodgates opened and trying to do the list of 5 was so difficult.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, I like that because I just created my list like an hour ago because I thought we were doing any TV show from the 90s, and April's like, "No, it's sitcom." And I'm like, "Okay, back to square one then. This is great." So
Yeah, did y'all see DuckTales floating around this week a lot on social media? That was when we were talking about this. That was the first one I tried to put down. I'm like, oh wait, it's not a sitcom.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, Ashley had texted me and she's like, "Do you have any animated ones on yours?" I'm like, "Animated sitcoms?" And that's what she was like, "Sitcoms? Oh,
Whoopsies.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Alex, it sounds like you've got a decent amount. So let's start with you. What's one of your top ones?
So the first one that I put down was actually Full House.
Hey.
I agree with that one for sure.
Such a good theme song. I just the bass riff at the beginning. It made me think of Seinfeld. Listening back to it.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like that kind of became the iconic thing of just doing that bass riff.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, it's very, very memorable, that whole beat to that song. Yeah,
absolutely. That was definitely also on mine too. You just can't go wrong with that song. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know when I was growing up, anytime I'd hear that song, I'd be running to the TV to watch.
Yep.
Well, that's how a lot of the 90s songs were, though. I felt like they were so lengthy. So, you had so much time to get prepared for the show to start because they were so long. So, okay, you hear it, you're like, okay, hurry up, grab the last minute things. The theme song is still going, and then it finally gets into the show. But yeah, Full House is definitely on my list. You cannot go wrong with that theme song. It's such a classic. I love that one.
I do want to ask this question of you, Alex. Don't mind me. I do apologize if it's too personal or anything, but what year were you born?
93.
93. Okay. So we got a youngin'.
Yeah, I'm on the younger side of the 90s babies, but I mean, I was raised by VCR and library tapes, so.
Perfect. Do you have any older siblings?
I do not, but most of my friends growing up were 3 to 4 years older than me, so I kind of got introduced to 90s culture as a youngin'. And then when I was in high school, I was still in the 90s mode. And everyone's like, no, it's Jersey Shore now. And I'm like, no, I'm still back in sitcom land.
Oh yeah, that. Absolutely. I completely understand that. 91 and 2 older brothers, so I definitely had that. older siblings keeping me up with the 90s and everything. And by the time Jersey Shore and stuff came around, they were done. So I'll do my next one since we all had Full House. So one that, and this is one I've been legitimately humming all day, was Married with Children.
Oh, that's
Another good one.
That's a hummable one. Mm-hmm.
I just legitimately, it was one that was a late night one. That's just love and marriage, love and marriage. Like you can't not hum it. And so that's always been one that's, even not having truly watched those, I don't know how many years, I still remember it to a T.
You watched that show? You watched Married with Children?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was actually one of my dad's favorite shows. It was a late night. If it was a situation where I just couldn't sleep, I'd go out into the living room. My dad would have the TV to himself, so he'd be watching Married with Children, and I'd just come and I'd sit with him and watch it. Probably not necessarily appropriate for a child of my age, but...
You don't think the bunnies were a great, healthy relationship?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So many of those things went over my head, obviously, but like watching it now, I can't believe my dad allowed me to watch it, honestly.
Yeah. Gosh.
It's like, did either of you ever grow up watching Futurama?
I saw some of it, Futurama.
So yeah, so like I remember like I watched Married with Children like as a kid. Again, like watching it. And I remember a buddy and I were watching, it was the episode where they do a spin off with children, and Katie Seagal, who Peg Bundy, it was a whole thing about her marrying this alien named Al. And I was like, oh my gosh, they are doing Married with Children on Futurama.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. I may have to look that up now.
Yeah, I know, me too. That's really funny.
It was always, because then she was in the DCOM.
Smart House.
Smart House, yes.
Smart House, yeah.
Yeah. So like when I saw that, I'm like, Married with Children.
She has been in so much, and I feel it's played everything from like the really maternal side to like the hardcore kick-ass side. Like she has so much range.
Absolutely.
She does. Yeah.
All right. So what each of you got next?
I am gonna throw out Sister Sister. I love that theme song so much. I mean, it's so catchy. Sister, sister. It's one of those things where I feel like the 90s threw a lot of those theme songs where they said the title of the show in them. So like you can't forget what you're watching. Like you know what's about to start.
Oh yeah.
No, there's I feel like you just said there's so much of that, introducing the cast of characters and hey, here's the show, don't forget it, we're going to say it 15 20 times. But it was done so catchy that you'd find yourself like in the car like going, sister, sister. Like you're just humming it, and I love the jingles.
That's the best word for them. Is they were just long jingles.
They kind of were, yeah.
What else do you got, Alex?
So I have Family Matters next.
Oh,
okay. I never watched that show, so I don't know how that goes.
As the days go by, and like it's so funny, and like again, it was kind of like very similar to that Full House intro. They're both part of that TGIF block where it's almost like even saying like font typing, where they just show all the cast of characters. They would talk about how like it's a loving family and filling the house with love, and it was kind of very cheesy, but just like you talked about with like Married with Children, and we talked about Sister Sister, it tells you what the show's about, and that was really the point of the theme song back in the day. Was hey, this is what's going on. We're trying to get you with that quick, beginning of the song and tell you what the show's about so you stay and watch it.
That's a pretty good point, yeah.
Yeah.
They did tell you what that was about.
That was a good show. And Ashley, I'm still like, we've already discussed the fact that there's some shows that you didn't see growing up that I'm amazed at. And have you it was just kind of going back around recently, the clip from one of the episodes of Family Matters. It was towards the end of the episode where like the little kids had come in, and I think it's got I don't even remember exactly, but it ends up being the little boy is like, "You're right, he does look like Uncle Phil," or something like that.
Yes.
And he comes in, and it's just, and then the dad from Family Matters just can't control himself. He just completely breaks character, and it's like, what the hell? Like, can't believe you did this to me. I said that to Ashley, and she just is like, it might be better if I'd actually seen this show.
Yeah, I mean,
So, have either of you watched Step by Step?
yes.
Yes.
Love that show.
That had escaped me in my youth, so I've recently been like rewatching it, or
Oh,
actually
okay.
watching it the first time. And I watched the pilot, and I'm like, okay, this is a very interesting show. And I watched the second episode, and Urkel's a guest star on the first episode. And I was just like, this is the first episode, like, other than the pilot of the show. And here's Urkel coming in on a jetpack.
Oh my gosh. I did love that, how they combined all of those TGIF shows.
TGIF, yeah.
It was just everybody
They
was
did a lot of that.
jumping in on somebody else's show.
Oh, yeah.
That was always so entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ashley, what's your next one?
Well, I was gonna say Step by Step. So I mean, like that. Again, I mean, I feel like we're just following all the other songs. It's okay. What are we watching? Oh, Step by Step. And that theme song was so freaking long. I think it was like 2+ minutes long of a theme song, and it like just keeps going and going, and you're like, okay. But I still really love it. It's just a classic. I mean, it's such a upbeat, family-friendly tune, and just the show itself, like you said, it was such a great one to watch growing up.
I think, like you said, it was long.
It was so long.
It was so long.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I don't think I could even like hum that theme song. Ashley, hum it for us.
Step by step, day by... I actually don't know the lyric.
Okay, actually, now that does ring a bell, because it, like I said, it's been a while, but just those
as
first...
soon as you hear a couple notes, you know what's happening.
Exactly.
It was just interesting to watch all the dynamics of the kids, and I remember I was trying to like figure out the age of the kids, because it just kind of seemed like that ambiguous, we're in high school, and you definitely have like your kids who are older and your kids who are younger, but then they don't age, but they definitely look like they're getting older as you go on through the seasons. I'm like, okay, you're looking like you're in your mid-20s and you're still a sophomore in high school.
They're still in yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was kind of like a modern, well, for the 90s, a modern day Brady Bunch family almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Very true.
They really hit like every trope that you could have in a family type.
Oh my God.
You had the nerd, you had your rough and tumble tomboy, you had like your wannabe influencer, you had your brainiac. Like, there was all of it.
All of that. Yeah. But it's also kind of cool because the same people that wrote Step by Step also wrote the Full House song. So they have a lot of similarities in that, which is kind of cool. Or I should say Full House was written, and then I guess Step by Step. But
talking about long theme songs, this is probably one of my all-time favorite theme songs. And I know it's not on Ashley's list because she never watched this growing up, but Fresh Prince.
How did you never watch Fresh Prince?
We've already been over that.
I don't know. You gotta ask my parents. I guess I wasn't raised very well.
Oh. I love that show so much. And I remember like watching but Ninja Turtles and hearing Shredder, and like, man, that sounds like Uncle Phil.
Yes.
And it was Uncle Phil.
Because he voiced Shredder on the cartoon series for a little bit. And so yeah, that's one of the things. And I don't know if you guys ever had this, but in high school we had a 90s themed dance, and they played the full Fresh Prince theme song And it was hilarious because everybody was spitting the first verse and everything, and then it gets to the second verse, and everybody's just like, "What? There's a second verse." And so it will always be one of the top theme songs for sure of the '90s. You just can't beat that one. You can't.
I play music in my spare time at like bars and vineyards, and that is actually a song in my set list to get like everybody
Oh,
singing and like
awesome.
moving along. I actually matched it up with Sweet Home Alabama,
Really?
and it
Ooh.
was when I start playing Sweet Home Alabama, people are singing along, and then you
Yep.
switch up in like in West Philadelphia, born and raised, and I was like, what?
Oh,
And
that
I
sounds
had
like a cool mix up. I like
I
that.
like
and
that.
I had to make sure there was a Blair, Alabama before I did the song, just because like that's the OCD part of me, and luckily
Mhm.
there is. So like this song is just perfect.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm sure Ashley hasn't seen it, but Alex, I don't know if you have. A few years ago, this was maybe like already 5, 10 years ago. Will and Alfonso and Will's son were all on Graham Norton, which is a British talk show,
Hmm.
and Will and his son, Jaden, did the rap, like did the whole thing. And
Oh, cool.
Alfonso's on up there too, and he gets up and is doing the Carlton
Hmm.
and stuff. Absolutely phenomenal. And Will still has it. Like, I mean, poor
Yep.
guy, that's gonna probably be on like his tombstone or something.
So I will say, 'cause I don't know if I mentioned it, that was actually the top of my list. That song, 90s to mid 90s Will Smith, Big Willie style, phenomenal album. Like
Yes,
Mm.
Will Smith
absolutely.
has so many hits from that era that I want to say he was trying to do something recently, and the rap game has just changed so much from where it used to be. Like the kind of
Mm-hmm.
heavy beat with like the slow speaking, and
Mm.
it's I think for us like 90s kids we loved it, but
Hmm.
working with middle schoolers, they're like, why is he talking so slow? What is he doing? Who's Will Smith? And it hurts my heart every time they ask who Will Smith is. They only know
Oh
Will Smith
no.
from what happened with Chris Rock.
Are
That's
you
Oh,
the only
oh
serious?
reason they know
no.
him,
Oof,
and it's
That's
so upsetting.
that's
oof.
crazy how the generations change like that. It is a good song. I couple episodes that I was made to watch. Yes, it's a very good song. I agree with that.
Sound like your arm was twisted to watch those.
Slightly.
Oh, she doesn't even know what she's in for coming up.
I feel like I'm kind of with Ashley here. I'm discovering a lot of that stuff from the 90s. I was raised by a single mom, so I was
Mm,
very much raised in a musical household. And now I'm like,
Mhm.
oh,
okay.
Three Ninjas, and we're watching through like all of like the John Candy stuff now, and
Oh,
I
Oh,
absolutely love it.
yes.
yes,
Like,
Love,
yes,
oh,
love John Candy.
absolute
mm.
impeccable.
We just weren't allowed that, and the household was too violent and too crude and
Mm,
crass, and I'm like, this isn't
uh-oh.
even that bad. Like,
It's not,
it's more
no.
cheesy.
It's so cheesy.
When you think of what is on today,
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing compared to what
Yeah.
kids are introduced to at such a younger age now. And so it's like, okay, they said the word but.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, okay, they're cussing up a storm in PG movies now.
I was just thinking about that because it's weird. Like as a teacher, I'm trying to find movies that my kids aren't going to lose me my job,
Hmm.
and they mentioned crap in a movie. I'm like, we can't say that.
Oh
And it's just
no.
like you said, like, we couldn't even like talk about butts, even make a butt joke. Like Ren and Stimpy was such a taboo cartoon back in the day,
Oh
Oh,
and
yes.
yes.
now like Ren and Stimpy is so tame compared to what the kids watch.
It is. That's crazy.
That's crazy thinking about that.
Wow.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
All right, well, what else you guys got?
Okay, I have Home Improvement. I love, 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 love that show. And thankfully, it's not a lyrical song, it's just the music. And then, of course, I love how they include Tim's classic, I can't do it very well, but you know, his classic thing in the song. I just love it so much. I just can't get enough of that.
That's a good one.
That's such a great show. I love the ongoing bit of more power. We need more.
I know. I love it. He ruined every good invention by giving it more power, but okay, Tim.
Yeah, it was so good though.
What else you got, Alex?
I have Cheers.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
where everybody knows your name, and
Yes.
like it was such. I feel like it was such a different theme song than what we were like used to. We're like in the '90s, like right there was like towards the end of Cheers' run. You had that electric guitar, you had that bass. There was like I feel like we're going more of electrical vibe, where Cheers was just like that soft piano, where it's like welcome to the bar, sit down, stay a while, and while it didn't really tell you a lot, it made you feel like you knew what the show was about. And then, I mean, who couldn't love the cast that they had with like Ted Danson, Rhea Perlman, John Ratzenberger, like George Wendt. The show, I think it's probably one of my favorite sitcoms, like overall.
Oh, really?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, like
I
yeah.
have never seen it.
Really?
Just saying.
At all?
No.
It was
I
one
don't
of
know why
those.
I even say this anymore. You should just know. I don't.
It's one of those that I would be if it wasn't Married with Children. That was what that my dad had on. It was just a lot of times Cheers, and I will admit that kind of like Married with Children kept my attention a lot of the times. Cheers, I'd kind of be able to fall asleep to at being a young and everything because it all everything was way, way above my head. But I still do remember that theme song very much so.
I think it probably also helped being New England based. So like going
Yeah.
to where like that bar is based out of, like the Bullfinch
Yeah.
Tavern, like in our early 20s, we just like walk on in and we'd yell Norm. The bartenders would hate us because you know they hear it a dozen times a day, if not more.
Yes.
But for us, like we loved it. So we'd walk and go
Oh my gosh.
Norm, and we'd sit down. You could sit down like where it would have been in the bar, and it was
That's
such just a fun experience. It definitely brought back that show like into adulthood.
Yeah.
oh cool. I love that when shows do that.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, did they film any of it there or was it
Oh.
more in
The intro.
studio?
So
Okay.
the intro to the show, when they're like walking down the steps and the outside shots are all shot in Boston, the
Oh,
entire
cool.
interior of the bar is shot on a soundstage.
Okay.
Okay.
None of the inside of the bar at the Bullfinch Tavern was actually used in Cheers. And after Cheers started gaining popularity, they remodeled the interior of that tavern
I was gonna
to
ask.
look like the Cheers set.
You kind of have to at that point. I mean, because
Yeah.
everyone's gonna want that same vibe. So that was smart on
Yeah.
their part, though, because they
Could
probably
you
got a
imagine
lot
like
more business.
we're gonna go visit the Cheers bar, and you walk in, it looks completely different.
Oh, that would be so disappointing.
You would be so
You just be
disappointed.
like, no, like what? Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. My next one is Boy Meets World.
No, not the original song. The
I was just
later
about to
seasons,
say.
right?
Like, yeah. The first season
Those
was
first couple of seasons, ooh, those are so cringe.
yeah.
Where he's like watching the thing. Oh, where's the ball?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, no, the main one that everybody knows, I know that that wasn't technically the earlier 90s part, but since Boy Meets World was still on. And
hmm
there are some, I think even, because I know that some of the different places for streaming services, they redo music in the shows. And I think there's a few that like threw in the newer theme song into some of the earlier seasons too.
Well, probably because it's just so bad, those first couple of seasons. Like, I wonder if any other shows have done that, where they've taken a theme song that going from no words to having lyrics changing it halfway through the season, because that was really smart on their part by doing that, because it changed the whole game with how the show was presented.
Yeah.
I loved the season 4 theme song. Like, I think that was like the epitome of the show, like, in that theme song from that season was the best for it. I love that so much.
Well, I think just like how the actors on that show grew up and the storylines grew with them, so did that theme song. And like you're just saying, that the theme song was reminiscent of what the show was about. So to keep that season 1 theme song, as terrible as it was, would have served that purpose of introducing the show.
Oh God, yeah. I can't imagine if they were like in college and still playing that. That would have been
seeing now old Corey dodge the moving globe.
I honestly want to kind of see that, but I don't think I would have kept wanted to keep watching the show. You kind of would have been like, this doesn't look like it's going to be good. You know what I mean? As a kid, it's kind of cute, but then as they aged, it kind of worked that they changed the theme song to correlate with that.
Now, did either of you watch Girl Meets World when it was on Disney Channel?
I watched it on the when it went to Netflix before Disney Plus came out, and so yes, and I'd actually met Danielle Fishel at MegaCon a few years ago, right before she had her first child. Super, super nice. All four of them were there. So Ryder, Ben, and Will were all there also, but it was just limited. That was another year, kind of like this year is going to be, where there was just so many people. I couldn't go to every single one, and I was like, I want to meet Topanga. Like,
no, I love that show. I got a kick out of with Girl Meets World. How we were just talking about how bad the intro was for Boy Meets World. The theme song wasn't as bad, but it kind of did the same thing of dodging the globe with the main actress for the intro for Girl Meets World. Like, so did we not realize it was bad until a few years ago? Because I thought it was pretty evident, like in the 90s, that it was bad.
Yeah.
Oh my! I wonder if they were just doing it for
the nostalgia,
comedic, shits and giggles. Yeah, they like.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I'll have to watch that though. I've been wanting to watch that though.
It's actually not. It's not that bad, honestly. And they bring so many of the characters back that it really was. Yeah. It was. I enjoyed that. I was actually very surprised at how much I enjoyed that show.
I feel like Girl Meets World gets more of a bad rap than it deserves. I feel like it was really expected for it to live up to Boy Meets World, and it's hard to recapture that.
Yeah.
But they did recapture some of those like harder hitting storylines. It wasn't every week like Boy Meets World was, but every now and then they really had a good storyline with like making Maya, that hunter.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. Or not Sean. Where'd I get Hunter's last name? I was like, where am I getting that from?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I knew who you were talking about, though.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's late.
Yeah, no. Understand. Like I said, they did a decent job with that show.
So, do either of you have Saved by the Bell on your list?
Yes.
It's in my honorables.
Ooh, okay. It's in my honorable as well. So
I don't even know what number we're at. Honestly, I've lost track of on where we're at, but hey. Yes, Saved by the Bell is definitely. I mean, you can't go wrong. That was definitely one that.
Yeah, I was. Did y'all remember Good Morning Miss Bliss growing up?
Oh God, don't get us started on that.
Because I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
And I was talking about it with friends, like when we were in high school, and people did not believe me that was a show. And it wasn't until like years later they were trying to convince me that it was like a Mandela effect, that I just made up this show.
Shit.
And it was like, no, there was Saved by the Bell, there was Saved by Bell the college years, and then there was like, no, there was a show before Saved by the Bell, and like they were trying to like convince me that it was a Mandela effect.
So, funny story, when we first started doing our podcast and everything, when we were doing our TV episode, and so on, I think it's Hulu, Good Morning Miss Bliss is listed as Saved by the Bell season 1.
Yeah, they don't even recognize it as a separate show. That's the problem. Like, it's so screwy.
I was watching it, I'm like, because I was doing the pilot, I was like, where's Mario? Where's Callie? Like, Like it's just because like I think the first episode only had Zach, Screech, and Lisa. I think we're the only ones in that first episode. And so I'm just sitting there going, this isn't familiar. Like I remember this because I remember Miss Bliss, but came to find out because I think Ashley was watching on a different service, like a different streaming service, and she's like, no. I'm like, I watched the wrong freaking thing.
No, because you told me to watch a certain episode, and it wasn't the correct season because they have the seasons wrong. So that's how we discovered that it was all messed up.
I found that a lot of streaming services will mess up like the seasons and episodes, especially with like that where there was a different series that kind of fed in and was rebranded.
Yeah.
I feel like the best is always go to IMDb and just look up whatever the episode title is.
Yeah, you have to look up the titles, yeah.
IMDb is like my extra limb and everything. Constantly. We'll be watching something and my husband had sent me like a meme, and it was like people running, and it's like my wife when she has 5 minutes into a movie when she has to look up all the cast members on IMDb. I'm like, yep, pretty much.
That's how I am. I'm always looking up like, who is that? And then you look up everything they're in, and then you go down the IMDb rabbit hole. And like, did you know that in 1972 they were in this movie with this person who was also in this?
Oh
and it's
my God!
Connecting all the dots. And I just see like the pin boards with like true crime.
Yes.
That's like my head with movies.
It's the whole 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon type thing.
Yes, I haven't heard that in forever.
Oh my gosh!
What else we got?
That's all on my list.
So I have one that we haven't mentioned yet.
Okay.
Golden Girls.
Oh.
Yeah. And
I guess I always forget that was in the 90s too.
And I thought it was earlier as well. Like, I thought it was more of an 80s show. And it was, it came out in the 80s, but it ran up to 92.
Okay,
Cheers started in 82 and went to 93. So I was like, I thought Golden Girls was way before. Like my family, we have a headcanon with Betty White that we think that Betty White's character from Golden Girls should have been Woody's mother from Cheers. That we always kind of hoped that Woody was from St. Olaf because they're very similar and like they're kind of like they're smart but very ditzy.
Yeah.
And I wish there would have been a crossover like when they were both out, but there never was.
Cool.
That would have been awesome. That would have been one to watch for sure. I've got one more that we have. It's kind of later in our 90s, just going up to 95. Friends.
Yep.
When did Friends start?
94.
Oh.
I double checked.
I did not watch that show. So
really?
We all know the theme song, but I just never watched it to where I'm like
I'm amazed at what the shows you haven't watched. Like, oh my gosh, I think I've seen Friends 3 or 4 times over. It is
wow.
So were they on a break? Were they on a break?
Actually, you have no idea what you're talking about, do you? Well, it depends on who you ask. Or were they needing to pivot?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know you all were just also with pop culture phenomena too. They just did this whole breakdown of the break, and I can't remember who we had on, but I think they broke it down perfectly by words alone. Yes, they were on a break, as Rachel said. They were on a break. However, we all know that that's not what was meant.
Oh.
That's what was said. That's not what was meant.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I would watch Friends because it would be one of those shows that was on they would play reruns before something else, like a new episode. It wasn't the same station or anything, but it would be something similar to like I was watching it before, say Charmed or something. Having my older brothers, I had to claim the TV at a certain point if I wanted to watch something, and so I just have to watch whatever was in front of what I wanted. And so I'd get some episodes of Friends here and there, and at that point I was still too young to really understand it. But going back, it's been decent. Haven't watched it in its entirety yet, but I'm slowly working it.
So is the Friends theme song, is that, I'm trying to think of how to word it, is that like an original song or was that created for Friends? You know what I mean? You know
I
what I'm
know
saying?
it was original song for the Remembrance. I don't know if they especially
Hmm.
wrote that for Friends, but
Okay.
I mean it might have just been a song that they picked up for Friends.
Mm.
I know that it
Yeah.
ended up being my graduation song. Like I've had that song played at so
Oh,
many
really?
events. Yeah, it was my high school graduation song. It
Oh.
was our song for college.
Wow.
I love the Friends theme song. I'm just sick of it being used for everything.
Eh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's over. In my opinion, I think for Friends
Mm-hmm.
it's overplayed.
Yeah.
Understand. Kind of like the vitamin C graduation song being
Hmm.
overplayed.
Oh yeah.
Yikes.
I did have one more that was it was a stupid theme song, but it
Okay.
Oh,
was
God.
just so catchy that every time it came on, I just sing along to it. The Frasier theme
Yeah,
song,
that one is kind of like, it draws you in, but it is,
talking about tossed
I don't think
salad
I've
and
ever seen a
scrambled eggs.
full episode.
I've never seen a full episode, no,
How does
but
it go?
There's a really heavy bass line, and it's Kelsey Grammer just like scatting over it,
mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
the only words I can really remember are in the morning I'm having tossed salad and scrambled eggs, and at the end he goes, Fraser has left the building.
Oh my God. It's so
Yes.
random.
It
Yes.
was so random, but it was so catchy that you needed just like I could listen to Kelsey Grammer sing about scrambled eggs all day.
It kind of is like one of those where you're like flipping through, back in the day when you flip through channels and like that, you start hearing that, you kind of have to stop and be like, what is this? Like, what's about to happen? Because
Yeah.
it's so random. It's so weird, but it is. It's very different than all of the other theme songs we've been talking about, really.
Yeah, and like while like all the other theme songs like gave that idea of what was gonna happen in the show, or was like
Yeah.
very like even like the Full House and Family Matters, like while it wasn't necessarily like, describing the show, it talked about family and love and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
Frasier theme song was so nonsensical to then talk about to be it was a psychologist radio like host
Hmm.
and his brother and his brother's British wife, and for a show that like seemed to be so sophisticated to have such a crazy theme song, it was just out there.
Mm-hmm.
That is always interesting how they do that. And it's almost one of those things where they do that to grab you and make you like, okay, what's this gonna be
Mm-hmm.
about? And then you're like, okay, this is it kind of is like that fishing line
Hmm.
and
Mm.
hooks you in. They
Yep.
they don't make they don't make those theme songs like they used to.
No, they don't. Yeah, like we were saying before, they were so long back then, and I feel like most of the theme songs, especially the ones we mentioned, they were very original to the show. Like they were written specifically for the show, and I don't feel like they do that as much anymore.
Hmm.
I feel like they just pull songs from artists and they just kind of slap it on, and that's the theme song. So, yeah,
And then
definitely.
by season two, they just give you 15 seconds and that's it.
Right, yeah, you don't even get the intro anymore. Yeah.
You know, what was it? There's something we were watching and it was a couple seasons long and the first season theme song was great. The second it's just like two lines of music and you're like, and why? Come on, bring it back, please. I
Hmm.
like
Well, I
that.
mean, nowadays you get the option to skip the intro. So I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of shows are not even trying with the intros anymore because they
True.
know like you have the option to skip it. So what's the point?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's part of it probably.
We never
Hmm.
had that option growing up. It was
We didn't. No.
you ran to the bathroom on your commercial breaks and then and if you had siblings that were
Hmm.
rude or everything, they'd be, is that on? And you'd be like rushing and jumping couches and everything, and then it was still like 5 minutes of commercial.
It was still a commercial.
Yes. We had a like cutout between the kitchen and the living room,
Hmm.
and you couldn't see the TV from like where the microwave was.
Mm.
And I remember like running in, like throwing the bag of popcorn, starting it, and I could hear like just like the intro music, "Hey, we're back from commercial," and I just like vaulted through the window like out
Oh
the
my
couch.
God.
And if it was just me at home, it would have been fine. my mom was sitting on the couch, and
Oh
the
no.
young me didn't think about the dots connecting. I'm like, oh shoot, I am in trouble. I've done it. I did it so many times when she wasn't home, but then it was like it became to second nature. Like, oh shit, I just
Yeah.
vaulted the window.
Oh
She's right there.
no. That's hilarious.
We would sometimes, so we would have a couch, and it was either vaulting over the couch or vaulting over one of our like chairs like that you could lean back and almost like lay down. And I don't know how many times we practically broke that chair by doing that. That it just, by the time we got rid of it, it wasn't even nobody even would dumpster dive that because it was just so broken from all those times. But yeah, we didn't even have like our living room and their kitchen had a wall between them. And so if we were in the kitchen making anything, it was literally somebody would just be like, it's back on. And my brothers would do it all the time. And I'd run in there and you said it was back on. Yeah, I just wanted to see how fast you'd get back in here.
That's funny. Oh. Well.
So, out of curiosity, any sitcoms? I know we did kind of just the early 90s right now, but what was your probably all-time favorite sitcom of the 90s? You could say one as a kid and then as an adult.
I would say as a kid, it was probably like watching Everybody Loves Raymond.
Okay.
I thought like it was just such a funny show. My grandmother was very much like how Marie is, and my grandfather was very much how Frank is. Just like, loving but stern and very sarcastic, but a dry sense of humor, which is a very weird mix to have. And so like as a kid, like we would joke about like myself being Raymond, my cousin being Robert, or vice versa, and
Oh my gosh.
just being an odd family dynamic, and it was great. As an adult, looking back, I would say that 70s show.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you watched any of that 90s show yet?
Oh. It's good, right? It's not good.
I've watched it. I think that there are some really good episodes. I don't think that the kids are the strength of the show this time around. And I don't think it's because of the kids. I think that the acting for them, or not the acting, the writing for them wasn't done that well. It didn't seem like they capitalized on a lot of like the 90s stuff for them. Like we had the mall episode, which was great. We had the intro to computers, but other than that, it kind of felt like they were just kind of going through the motions and trying to update old bits from the 70s show.
Yeah.
And just say like, hey, it's the 90s. Where I felt like Red and Kitty, definitely they were the best part of that 90s
Oh yeah,
show.
they owned that show.
Did you end up
I would have been
watching the
fine
whole
if
thing?
it was just them. I did watch the whole thing. Yeah.
The episode where he gets the massage chair, I loved just how tranquil he was, and then when Kitty goes and unplugs it, and there's just the complete shift mid-sentence.
Instant. Yep.
It was great.
Yep. I loved it.
I'm working on it. I'll be honest, I didn't do a lot of that 70s show, but I have started watching that 90s show. And so I'm trying to get into it and everything too, because I know Ashley was like, you should watch it. So there is something that I've not seen that Ashley has.
We finally found a show.
Yeah. All right. Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining us on 90s Noise this evening.
Yes, thank you.
This has been a lot of fun, and we will definitely be in touch.
Hey y'all, I'm Alex. My buddy Brandon and I co-host a podcast called Nostalgia Junkies, where we discuss all aspects of pop culture nostalgia from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Be sure to check us out on TikTok and Instagram at Nostalgia Junkies Podcast, all one word, and catch our podcast on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. In our upcoming episodes, we'll be discussing our recent trip to 90s Con in Hartford, Connecticut, and reacting to some of the best toy commercials from our childhood.